What's up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Undrafted Views. We're here. We talk sports from the sidelines. And today we're going to talk about the San Antonio Spurs and have a discussion on whether we think they are true contenders in the West for this upcoming playoffs. Let's get into it.
The San Antonio Spurs are currently 7th in the Western Conference with a record of 19-15. Gregg Popovich has been the coach of the Spurs since 1996. I know, right? Yeah, he also has the presidential duties. Now, I'm wondering if you think this is a conflict of interest, or do you really like the way that he's constructed this team?
I don't think it's a conflict of interest. I do think that it is time to make a shift. And I'm not saying that he should leave. Maybe he should just assume the role of president solely and, transition his coaching duties perhaps to someone else. I think that the roster, the way it's constructed, is what's needed and what they had available to them. San Antonio, do people want to play in San Antonio? Do you see the free agency players, high profile players wanting to play in San Antonio?
Not so much anymore. If I can think back to Tim Duncan and David Robinson and Kawhi Leonard, those are probably the biggest stars to play for San Antonio, but it's not like they were raising their hand, pick me, to go there. Pop is a legend in terms of NBA coaching. I mean, he's the most tenured coach, with one franchise. Yeah. Now, what's interesting is last year they missed the playoffs completely, which is the first time and since Pop been coaching the Spurs. I mean, I don't know. That says a lot, though. If you look at the roster, what exactly is missing there?
I think it's missing a younger coach. I think it's missing. So I think it is time for Pop, and this may be an unpopular opinion, and I don't mean any disrespect because I agree. I think Pop is a legend. But when we're talking about now shifting to what the future of the Spurs look like, I see Pop as taking a role of like a Pat Riley, where now I'm going to do that type of job, and I'm going to allow someone else to do the coaching. Now, I'm quite sure since he's been the coach for such a long time, he will still have some say so. But I think it is time for the Spurs to hear a different voice from a coaching perspective to make perhaps their franchise more interesting, where players will want to go there. Because what you end up having are good players. Having good players is not a bad thing, but you don't have a marquee player.
Yeah.
And I think that is what's missing. And when we're talking about the, Manu period of time that was really popular, I think they won 5 rings?
Yeah, and Tony Parker and those guys.
Yes. So how do you bring that spark back to the Spurs? Because they have a great foundation. Their organization is a great foundation, right? So it is time to keep that foundation there and just build on it. And I think part of that will be when Pop decides to say, you know what, I believe it is time for me to help the organization become more popular again and maybe more sought after by known stars to come play for us, which eventually will help the entire organization and the franchise. And so it's just time to shift. It's just time to shift. Not leave, but shift. That's all.
So, I agree with you. I think it is time for the Spurs to kind of shift. And I think Pop could play that role really well. Yeah. You got Becky Hammond on the bench. Tim Duncan was there. He's gone now. But there are plenty of people who can step up and kind of give that organization some life,
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Silas is sick of being in Houston and he may want to come over to. Okay, never mind.
Woo! Nah.
Just joking.
Oh, okay. Because Steven, never mind. So look, in terms of moving into the second half of the season, and obviously the playoffs are right around the corner. Do you think this roster, the way it's right now constructed today, they're 7th in the Western Conference. Do you think they could really come out of the play-in tournament if it started today?
I don't think so. And I don't think they should. I really think they're still in a transition phase. I think that whatever they're doing right now is exceeding expectations. I believe. I don't think anybody, I mean, I know I did not see the Spurs nowhere near a play-in or playoff spot. I just didn't see it. So for them to be number 7 is really huge for them, which is exceeding expectations. But as we're talking about getting closer to the trade deadline and LaMarcus Aldridge is wanting out, what will the roster really look like post March 25th?
Mm-hmm.
So once I know what that looks like, even with the roster being constructed the way it is right now, I think that they can potentially make a play-in tournament, but I don't see them coming out of that.
They're not coming out. You know, and the Western Conference is so tough.
Oh, hello. So if you think about, so if they had to do the play-in tournament right now, based on the standings at this point, San Antonio's number 7, Dallas Mavericks number 8, Golden State Warriors number 9, and Memphis Grizzlies number 10.
See,
I can tell you right now, if they're playing, they may potentially be able to pass if they end up playing Golden State. Maybe. Right. And that means that Steph Curry will have to be at least putting in 80 points himself. if Golden State, wants to go to the next step of the playoffs. But I don't see it.
Well, the Spurs are currently first in the Southwest Division. Now, you mentioned a couple of teams, but right now they're ahead of Dallas, Memphis, the Pelicans, and Houston. Now, it doesn't say a whole lot because Houston has lost 15 games in a row. Memphis, I think they're having a hard time. I think they're having a really hard time. And then Dallas, I'm not too impressed with them. And the Pelicans are kind of hot and cold. Yeah. So the Spurs, I don't think they can come out of the play-in tournament either. But I think it'll be a good showing because we don't want Pop to miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. That just wouldn't be good.
That's true. That is correct. And then that means that the conversation about is Pop the future will begin to surface. And I want it to be where Pop makes the decision himself, right? He does it on his terms, not because now the noise is, okay, now Pop, we know you're a legend, and I don't want that for him. I don't want the but
yeah, I don't know, because I think Pop has gotten a little complacent. I mean, wouldn't you? You've been with the same organization since 1996, presidential duties. I can say who's on the team, who's leaving the team. He's been the man.
He's been the man. Yeah. So, he's been the man. And I don't know if it's enough to sustain for the future. Because he can technically retire right now if he wanted to and be very successful. Be a consultant somewhere. Yes. Why does he continue to hold on? It's because he loves it. And I understand that.
Yeah.
But is that what the Spurs need moving forward at this stage of his career? That's just all I'm saying.
No, they need to get rid of the old-fashioned basketball, pick up the pace a little bit, make it exciting again. Because it was at one point with Tim Duncan and Manu and Tony Parker, it was exciting basketball. But something happened when Kawhi came in and the game really slowed down. And then now I think it's just they probably have the slowest pace in the entire NBA. But they are very disciplined under Pop. I was looking and not one player averaged more than 2 fouls per game. That says a lot about, the discipline on both sides of the ball. And
who do you think is the future of their franchise?
DeJounte Murray is, to me, the future of the franchise. I mean, he's the point guard leading the team in steals, currently averaged 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. He's a young, feisty guard. I really like his play.
Okay. By himself?
Yeah, that's it. Derek White signed that big contract extension, and I immediately went to Twitter because I wanted to see what the streets were saying, and a lot of fans are like, hey, he deserves it. He's a great defender, but I don't see it. After he signed the deal, next thing you know, he had a dislocated toe, and he has only played 9 games this season, and we haven't received a return on the investment quite yet.
Well, the second half of the season is still young. So perhaps now that he's back, we'll see what that investment plays out to be for the rest of the season.
And you got DeMar DeRozan doing what DeMar does. He's making almost $30 million, $27 million this year.
I know.
He's leading the team in points and assists, but I just feel like even he's kind of bored with the system.
As he continues with because he's going to be reaching the end of his career, not right now, but soon. Would he want to be a part of a play finals contending team. Is that what his future look like? I mean, or will he just say, you know what, I'm good, pay me, and I'm going to ride it off into the sunset with the Spurs?
Well, he also wasn't named an all-star. So again, small market, playing for the Spurs, he totally got overlooked.
Yeah.
I mean, his stats match a lot of folks who made the NBA All-Star game. So not sure why he wasn't selected.
I heard something that someone posed, and maybe this is part of the trade rumor mill, but DeMar DeRozan to Miami Heat. What would you think about that? I don't know if they have the money or whatever. I'm just talking about in theory, if DeMar DeRozan would be traded to the Miami Heat, how would he benefit in the Miami Heat culture?
Well, I think it'll be more so how would Miami benefit, because his mid-range game is fantastic. And they need that. You know, Jimmy is also like a mid-range guy. And DeMar is great on defense. And that's what Miami's all about. Discipline, Heat culture. So I think he'd fit in pretty well.
Yeah, but I don't see DeMar coming off the bench. So then that means he would be sending someone else to the bench because he would need to be a starter. So just think about it. Jimmy Butler and DeMar DeRozan pairing along with Bam Adebayo. That's interesting, huh? I don't know.
Duncan and Tyler as well. I don't know.
Just a thought that came up. I don't know. And I don't even know if the Miami Heat want to trade anybody. So it was just something that came up. Because what would the Spurs get in return? Duncan Robinson? Maybe a nice piece to the Spurs. You know, alongside Tyler Hero. I don't know. Because I'm just saying they're not going to just accept. They're not going to trade DeMar DeRozan for just picks. No, how's that going to benefit them, right? So it's interesting. Speaking of a veteran on their team, so if you are a part of the NBA streets, you would know that LaMarcus Aldridge is another player who has decided not to play with the team anymore because he's looking for another opportunity, right? Do you think that losing LaMarcus Aldridge on the Spurs, it will be a huge detriment to the Spurs being able to move forward in their play-in tournament journey this season?
I mean, LaMarcus is a proven veteran. Though he has not won a championship, he still brings you that veteran leadership and a solid piece at center. I mean, right now, the Spurs only have Jakob Poeltl at center, and I just don't think he's going to be their anchor in the playoffs or moving forward. Yeah,
I'm quite sure if they were to trade LA, which for me, I believe it's probably going to be a buyout. I don't know if anybody would want to add LA to their playoff contending roster right now. But I don't know if he wants to come off the bench, because I can tell you right now, I don't see him going anywhere being a starter. Well, maybe he'll go back to Portland.
You know
what? And be a starter there. Maybe. That's where he started.
Boston could use him. Boston could use LaMarcus Aldridge.
Off the bench or as a starter?
As a starter, they need a center.
Because what I understand right now, part of the tiff is the fact that he doesn't want to come off the bench for the Spurs. They wanted to shift him to the bench. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm paraphrasing, of course. So if he were to go anywhere else, I'm quite sure he wants to be a starter. You know what? Boston is not a bad idea, actually. I like Tice, don't get me wrong, but
yeah, they could totally use him. Drop down in the comments and let us know if since LaMarcus and the Spurs have mutually agreed to part ways, do you think he'd be a good fit for the Boston Celtics? We wish him the best, of course, you know.
Of course. Or should he return back to Portland?
Nah, Nurkic. No, Nurkic not sitting down.
Can Nurkic get in the game?
Oh, yeah, true.
If he's injured one more season, I don't know what to do with it.
Interesting. Okay, well, hey, look, you guys drop down in the comments and let us know what you think about the Spurs. Are they really a contender in the West this year? And if they make it to the play-in tournament, do you see them getting out? It's a real question.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you guys on the next one. But until then,
peace.
Peace, y'all.